We're going to talk a little bit about Pablo Picasso and Cubism. He was the most influential artist of the 20th century, a key figure in the development of modern art, pioneering Cubism, inspiring surrealism and symbolism. Here we're going to use the top of the page. Just like your sketchbook, you want to give yourself some space up there just to work some shapes out before we start. So we're just going to build a straight line down as we are drawing cubes. So this is a lot of line work, so it's just about cubes though, so we're just going to concentrate on how this works. I'm making a diamond shape at the top of this line. You see I've marked the top and the bottom of the diamond shape. I can use my ruler for this one just to see how this works. The same parallel line top, you can see I use my pencil to see if they are exactly the same. Top and bottom of the top of my cube. And side to side, on the other side too, they will be exactly the same line. It's okay if it's not perfect. Erasing and reworking the shape is normal. So if you need to pause the video and work this out one more time, go for it. But notice how the top and bottom lines are parallel. That's going to make it a cube. This line is very, very straight, up and down. So the sides, this line, and the bottom of the cube will all align as the same line. You can see my pencil lining each one up at the same angle. Now I have this side, and the bottom of the cube on the other side. It's the same thing. They are the same angle, all three sides. Now I have a straight line in the front, a straight line side to side. And this line in the center is the same straight line going down in all three sides. So that's how you build a cube. As long as the edges are the same parallel lines, it equals into a cube. Let's practice one more time. This can be tricky. So 2 lines, I'm not using the ruler just to give myself the practice of creating a cube without a ruler this time. These two will be the same. So now I have my diamond shape. It's not perfect, so don't feel like you have to make a perfect cube. But we have the 3 sides are exactly the same, a little bit adjusted. These 3 lines will be exactly the same angle. Then we have the front line going down straight, and so the sides will be drawn into the same angle going down. So now we're going to build a new cube just on the side, but in a different perspective. So I have 2 parallel lines to start. The next parallel lines will be tilted, and I can erase my extended lines there. So we have a squared shape, 2-dimensional shape. Parallel lines, but angled. Now I'm going to bring in the sides, which I know all 3 are straight down in the same direction. And completing the bottom, that line I know is at an angle because the top lines on the top are the same angle. I'm going to erase that extended line. So I have something of a cube. It's a little long on the top portion, but it will do. So I'm going to do a smaller one, maybe on the side, just kind of quickly, then practice in a small scale how that would feel. All the edges are the same angle, creating your cube. Practice a few more. If you need to stop the video and maybe do it one more time, rewind it to the first cube. Do it one more time, practice them. We're going to be placing these into one piece, overlapping and getting creative. And working into a piece called cubism. We're starting to see the different views of one object to simplify it. But this cubism is a term that Picasso created his work in. So he is known for his cubist paintings and drawings. I'm going to build my what might be houses, or you could see it as a cityscape right in the middle. But we're only going to start with 2 overlapping boxes. And the first one, you can pick any view you like. You don't have to copy mine if you just want to get creative right away. But at least 3 fingers wide, so we don't want it too small. And those lines are parallel. They are the same exact lines, top and bottom, and side to side, building my diamond shape. And these don't have to be perfect. Again, this is going to feel a little more abstract. Cubism is an abstract process in art that the artists who used cubist style just had fun with what they were drawing. So I want you to feel like you can be creative. Definitely get in a couple of cubes on top of each other first, just to overlap them and get us started. And you can see how all these lines are, I'm measuring out parallel lines. So I might use a different viewpoint like this one. So I'm going to do 2 parallel lines, top and bottom, like I started with the 3rd cube up there. And bottom portion, 2 sides that are parallel. The top is tilted, 2 parallel lines. And then the 3rd line being parallel to the first 2 straight lines down. You can see how it's already feeling a little abstract with 2 cubes on top of each other. It's kind of fun. There are different sections we can color in, so I'm going to leave them so I can shade them in later. We don't have to erase anything necessarily. I'm going to build another cube on the side here. I'm just sort of guessing. I brought in a cube here and I'm thinking which direction should it go in, and I can add more cubes later in any way that I wish. So just being creative again. 3 parallel lines going in a different direction, and then 3 parallel lines going up. So there's my third cube. Now I think you can really place a cube anywhere you want. There's no rule here. Just have fun with it. It'll start to feel three-dimensional regardless, because we are working with the cube shape. And if some of the cubes become abstract cubes and the lines aren't parallel, that's okay too. Just have fun with it. So we're in the process of overlapping our shapes to create this. It's how we also create dimension, a three-dimensional dimension and perspective. Overlapping is another key element to making this feel like a bunch of houses together, maybe a cityscape together, a town. Building one here on the bottom. Is starting to get really used to those parallel lines. So it's my mind, it's so much easier than when I first started. I can erase lines. Maybe I want this box to feel like it's really overlapping in the front of these two. These two, I like how they interchange. So, this is an abstract idea. It's just sort of working this three-dimensional cube into a piece. But letting something happen that we don't expect. Like we're not sure how it's going to look, really. It's not a realistic cityscape or houses lined up perfectly together. This is about looking at an object in 3 or 4 different views of an object and having fun with it, letting ourselves just kind of be expressive with them. So building the value scale on the side, like we have done in the past videos, it's always good to have a scale to look at on the side that you've drawn before, or maybe make a new one on this page. And it's good to repeat what we've learned so that we remember. It's just like playing a song on a violin or a piano or any instrument where we have to play the song over and over again. We then start to memorize that song and play it really well. It's the same with drawing. We have to rework our values and apply them in different ways so that we can over and over, so we can remember how to use them. So I might use a lighter value for a random shape in there. Just have fun. So we can see both cubes this way, which is interesting. Deeper values and lighter values next to each other create a contrast so we can see the different parts of each cube. So use your lighter values, mid-tone, middle values, and dark values to bring these shapes forward three-dimensionally. Using a little bit of a lighter value on the side. And again, if it feels kind of messy and abstract, that's okay. It's meant to sort of bring out our creativity. Just have fun with it. You can put a door in random places. Shade them in. You can add more cubes. And I placed a measuring mark there because I'm going to bring lines down to the edges of my cube on the bottom. That gives me a rooftop. I can shade in. If you want to try to create a bridge or out of shapes, just let your imagination go at this point. Your piece does not have to look exactly like mine. You can put a rooftop on each building, or maybe leave them blank. Maybe you want to bring in a top of a sphere instead and draw a circle on top. Like, you can just start getting really creative. If you want to bring in something we did in the birdhouse, like a cylinder, a perches, anything that maybe is just one big abstract birdhouse. You can do whatever comes to you. Explore those shapes in this fun three-dimensional way. This artist, the artist that I mentioned earlier is Pablo Picasso. So definitely write this name down so we remember who this was inspired by. I'm going to bring out the houses or the shapes in front of this box, so I'm going to make it darker behind them to create some contrast. This is what Pablo Picasso and artists at the time were looking at, how to draw objects or people even in different viewpoints, but in the same piece. And that's how they came up with this cubist artwork. So I can see, let's see, this box. It's in front of this one. I have this one. There's like 5 or 6 boxes here. So I'm going to bring in one more box for fun, just to give it a little bit more of a mass. And this one has a different viewpoint. I'm looking at the bottom as opposed to the top. So I'm going to shade the bottom a little bit, give it that same perspective, measuring line at the top, bringing it down to each corner. Giving some light shading to the edges of the boxes. I'm going to bring a rooftop to this one. It just seems fun. And erasing the back line of the box will help me see the roof on top. Here we go. I'll fill in a few more of the rest of these shapes. Again, take your time or rewind it, start over. If you want to build a new city, you can, now that you know how it works, you can flip the page and just build your own little town or cityscape here. And regardless of how it turns out, it could be even way more abstract than this. Perhaps yours is very abstract and it's just fun to see the different values and planes of each box or shape. You can sign your name and date it so you know when you first started drawing this image. And you have your abstract cubist drawing.